Greetings, fellow dreamers. First of all, let me thank you all for 993 subs. It's such a nice round number. Anyway, so recently I posted this poll where I asked you to choose the next Warframe that I should invigorate with a range buff. You guys suggested a lot of cool options, but Limbo ended up beating all of them, getting almost a half of all votes, so here it is. Absolute max range Limbo. First, let's invigorate it. Unfortunately, there are no range shards, so let's instead install 5 duration shards, as Limbo needs both of these stats in order to make his time-stopping magic last longer and cover the largest area possible. Now let's get to the build. First, let's install 2 of the duration arcanes. I know that Ice Storm would give 24% more duration, but it's a little bit of a struggle to maintain its buff, so let's go with the simpler arcane efficiency. Now we obviously install all of the mods that give us duration and range except for narrow-minded, as obviously it would completely destroy our range. Using Archon Stretch is unnecessary. I just like it for its tiny energy buff that our Sentinel can sometimes provide. Now the last thing we can do to further buff our range is, of course, getting the Void Corruption buff. So after all of this, we end up having 760% ability range and 393% duration, at least when both of our arcanes are active, which isn't so hard to maintain. This means that the bubble of our ult will last for almost 2 minutes and have a radius of more than 121 meters, which is nowhere near as good as absolute max range Zaku for breaking containers, as his ult's radius is nearly 200 meters at 760% range. To see what that's like, you can watch that video as well. So if Limbo isn't the best at breaking containers, what is he the best at? Well, of course the answer is high-level excavation and mobile defense missions. Potentially interception and normal defense missions too. Being able to freeze all of the enemies except for nullifiers and Eximus units in a 121-meter radius is insanely powerful. Pair it up with something like the secondary fortifier to quickly get rid of those pesky Eximus dudes, and you are pretty much all set for any mission where crowd control is a viable option. Using Oberon's Smite instead of Limbo's 1 or 3 is probably an even better option. Unfortunately, absolute max range can't be achieved on open world locations, so here's my attempt to demonstrate this 121-meter radius bubble on Lua. Something that objectively sucks about this whole setup is of course the fact that we can only get 760% on Fissure missions, and outside of them the maximum is 380. Well, if we ignore Amisha and its tiny 10% buff to all of Warframe ability stats, which includes range. But having a person with the Amisha Arcwing in your squad would require to have some friends, which I do have, but sadly none of them really play Warframe, let alone have Amisha. As a little bonus, let me also demonstrate what max range Revenant looks like, because why not? Some people were curious about this too, so here you go. Weirdly enough, the radius of his ultimate is fixed and cannot be modified, so range buffs only affect how thick his beams are. Kind of the same goes for Reeve. How far you go doesn't depend on range, instead this is affected by the Warframe's duration. So range just makes the area that gets hit by Reeve larger that can be useful for nuking more enemies, I suppose, but it's definitely not worth the grind. My verdict is that Revenant is like a Warframe that's almost entirely unaffected by range. And that's about it. Thanks a lot for sticking around and stay tuned for more. I hope the new PC that I bought does make a difference in how the game looks. I think it's way better. Please tell me in the comments what you think about this. Love you all. Bye. Oh, and here is the fashion in case you liked my sentient, inspired Limbo. To be honest, I can't imagine playing as Limbo with anything but this skin. I know that it changes his theme completely, but it's just so good in my opinion. Especially when paired with the sentient weapons. It's strange how this skin is basically the only one that he has, apart from Void Shells and Tenogen ones. I wish DE would create more. Maybe when he gets a rework, they would add something. I don't know. All right, this time, bye for sure. And until the next time.